Fu Xingzhou and I lived together for 30 years. When he was about to die, he wanted to draw lots between me and Bai Yueguang to choose who would be buried with him. I couldn't accept it. I cried like crazy, but unexpectedly I discovered that both pieces of paper with the lottery were written with Shen Muyuan's name. He had already made his choice. Seeing me go crazy, Fu Xingzhou lost his patience and shouted. She had reserved Muyuan's position to marry me. She had enjoyed a life of wealth and honor for 30 years, and now that she's dead, she still wants to compete with her. It's a traditional custom for husband and wife to be buried together. So why do you say it's a fight? I shouted angrily. My son standing next to me echoed my sentiments. Mum, Aunt Muyuan has been lonely all her life because of you. Don't be selfish. Let go of Dad. My daughter also spoke with emotion. Mum, you and Aunt Muyuan are both women. Why do you have to make things difficult for each other? Furthermore, because of Mother, Father could not stay with the person he loved for the rest of his life. So wasn't it the right thing to do to give way to her? Looking at their righteous appearance, my heart gradually cooled down. I closed my eyes in resentment. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 30 years ago. When Fu Xingzhou brought the matchmaker to propose, I stopped my parents, who were overjoyed in their hearts, and said coldly, "No marriage," when they heard me say that their happy expressions immediately darkened. Is it my turn to say this marriage is something that our parents decide as long as we agree that's enough? My father exhaled tobacco smoke, his face full of disdain. After he finished speaking, my mother also joined in. All day long, he only knows how to be lazy and dependent. His demands are high. It's already lucky to have someone willing to marry him. Is it your turn to be picky? Moreover, that kid Xingzhou is famous for being talented in the area. What else are you not satisfied with? Hearing that I looked towards Fo Hanchu, he had a handsome face and a dignified appearance. He was exactly the type of person I had once admired, but it was also this person who had deceived me all my life and only revealed his evil nature at the moment of my death. Remembering the reproachful faces of my loved ones, anger flared up inside me. I gritted my teeth and repeated no marriage. The matchmaker was afraid that I would ruin the business, so she quickly endured and reconciled. Yuan Ru, it wasn't my aunt who said it, but with your conditions, marrying Xingzhou would be a blessing from your ancestors for generations, a gift from heaven. If you miss this chance, don't regret it. My father nodded in agreement after hearing this and coldly snorted, "Don't pay attention to him. He's a toad trying to eat swan meat. He doesn't know his place, and he even wants to dominate his own father." They were talking in perfect harmony, and with just a few sentences they wanted to decide the fate of Fu Xingzhou and me for the rest of our lives. I was so anxious that I couldn't hide it anymore and blurted out, "He's already promised someone else before, and he didn't have any intention of marrying me." The surroundings immediately fell silent. My parents' gazes towards Fu Xingzhou were extremely unsightly, and the matchmaker was also at a loss for words. Only then did he frown and say the first sentence since entering my house. "Nguyen Nhu, when did you become so cruel? I know you like me and want to use this method to attract attention, but this only makes me hate you even more." Hearing Fo Hanchu's words, I was stunned, not because he was too arrogant, but because of the familiar tone and the matter-of-factness in each word. I suddenly realized that perhaps Fo Hanchu was like me, having been reincarnated. In his panic, he spoke again. "It's because I pampered you too much that you became the jealous woman you are now. This time, no matter what, I have to correct this temperament of yours." Fu Xingzhou seemed to still think that he was my husband and gave himself the right to constantly lecture me. I had completely run out of patience and took out the university admission notice that I had hidden away in my previous life just to wait for the person in my heart to propose. "Fu Xingzhou, I have passed the university entrance exam. I will receive intellectual education myself. I don't need you to meddle in other people's business. Giving up the opportunity to go to university because of him is the thing I regret the most in my life. If I could do it again, I would definitely focus on improving myself and changing my fate. Everyone around me saw the paper in my hand, and their expressions changed. After a moment of hesitation, Fu Xingzhou's face suddenly darkened. Nguyet knew I know you are jealous of Muwan getting into university, but there's no need to fake the notice. You made me lose all face. This notice was real. I frowned and explained, but my parents believed him and slapped me. Oh my God, you are a scoundrel. My family paid for you to go to school so that you can help your younger brother in the future, not for you to learn some stupid, evil things. Are you still worthy of my and your mother's efforts? My father threw the cigarette on the ground, angrily pointed at my face and cursed me. My mother kept crying as if I had committed a terrible crime. Their reaction made Fo Hanchu visibly satisfied. He smiled brightly as if he was bestowing a favor and stood in front of me. Nguyet Nhu, apologize to your uncle and aunt. I can pretend nothing happened, marry you, and live a peaceful life. I don't need it. I pushed Fo Hanchu away, unable to contain the anger in my chest, and shouted like I was going crazy. Don't think I don't know what you're planning, Fo Hanchu. If you don't get lost right now, don't blame me for exposing this matter to the world. 4 eyes met Fo Hanchu's eyes flashed with terror. Without waiting for him to ask, I grabbed the broom beside me and hit him straight. If you like Shen Muwan, then go marry her. Don't bother me anymore. My movements caused dust to fly up. Fu Xingzhou's face was as black as coal, but because I threatened him, he didn't dare to stay. After he left, the matchmaker awkwardly said a greeting and retreated. The room finally became quiet again. After my parents calmed down, they looked at me in disbelief. You really got into college? Yes. I snorted softly, but there was no smile on their faces like I had imagined. My mother looked worried. If you go to college, who will do the housework? And your younger brother, he's almost at the age of marriage. What will I do without your help? Before I thought that being an older sister meant having the responsibility to support my younger brother. But 30 years later gave me a clear answer. It was unnecessary. Mum, I am an independent individual. I have no obligation to shoulder the burden of your life and my younger brother. Insolent, my father slammed the table and stood up, glaring at me angrily. All your books have been dumped into the dog's stomach before you can say such nonsense. While we were still arguing, my younger brother walked in unceremoniously, grabbing my hair. Chun Nguyet Nhu, I heard you chased away the person who came to propose. How good! Don't you know that I'm about to get married and really need money? Go apologize to Fo Hanchu right now. If he doesn't forgive you, don't come back to this house. We don't have relatives like you. He brazenly asked for money as if it was a matter of course. But in the 30 years that followed, he never once stood up to protect me. I was so disappointed that I stomped on my younger brother's foot. When he was in so much pain that he had to let go, I quickly ran out of the house. If he didn't accept, that was fine. A family like you who would trade their daughter for fame and fortune, I don't need it. After saying that, ignoring my parents' ugly faces, I turned around and left. Who would have thought that I would bump into Tam Mo Uyen, who was walking from the front? She walked gracefully, looking weak, staggering a few steps before she could stand firm. Nguyet Nhu brother Hanchu is just clumsy, doesn't know how to talk, and didn't mean to anger you. Don't blame him anymore. He and I really don't have any relationship. We're just normal friends. If there's anything that makes you misunderstand, just say it. I'll fix it. So it turns out that she came to defend Fo Hanchu. In my previous life, I only met Tam Mo Uyen a couple of times, who would have thought she was such a hypocritical person. Already a third party, she still wants to maintain her reputation. I coldly snorted, "What are you and him?" She knew best in her heart she didn't need to explain to me. Just as Shenmu Wan was about to say something more, she suddenly seemed to see something and quickly grabbed my hand before falling backwards. "Ju Yueru, what are you doing?" An angry shout rang out, and Fu Xingzhou hurriedly ran over to help the person on the ground up. "If it weren't for Mu Wan's kind heart and advice for me to try to live well with you, I wouldn't have done it." At this point, he suddenly realized he had misspoken and quickly changed his tone. "In general, the matter between us has nothing to do with Mu Wan. You shouldn't be angry with her. Quickly apologize." Fu Xingzhou stared at me, his eyes full of pressure. In his arms, Shen Mu Wan looked suspicious, but after hearing those words, a satisfied smile immediately appeared, and he turned to look at me with a challenging gaze. "Brother Xingzhou, I'm fine. Don't make Yueru sad because of me." "What does she have to be sad about?" Fu Xingzhou blurted out without thinking. Those words pulled me back to the memories of my previous life. In the early years of our marriage, he was penniless. Not only did I take care of the housework, I also had to work hard to earn money to help. At that time, I used to sleep under the bridge, eat rotten rice just because I didn't want him to feel guilty. I even laughed and said I was a man of steel. Unexpectedly, he remembered that one joke for the rest of his life. From then on, no matter what happened to me, he would use that sentence as an excuse, blatantly ignoring my feelings. I took a deep breath and resolutely left that sadness behind. "Fu Xingzhou, you should be the ones apologizing." He heard the hidden meaning in my words, his eyes wavered slightly. Shen Mu Wan cried out, "Ah!" and threw herself into Fu Xingzhou's arms. "Brother Xingzhou, my leg hurts so much it must have been dislocated by Yueru pushing me just now." As soon as he finished speaking, Fu Xingzhou didn't care about anything else, picked her up and ran straight out, not forgetting to turn around and look at me with hatred as he left. "Zhou Yueru, you better pray that Mu Wan is okay, otherwise I will settle old grudges and new debts." His back quickly disappeared behind the gate. I tried to swallow the lump in my throat and went alone to the teacher appreciation party organized by my classmates. The class president saw me and hurriedly ran over. "Yueru, what happened to your hand? Sit down and let me treat your wound." When I felt the cool sensation on the back of my hand, I suddenly remembered that the back of my hand had been scratched by Shen Mu Wan until it bled. Seeing the class monitor take out all kinds of bandages and antiseptics from his pocket, I curiously asked, "Why do you have everything in your pocket?" His face was red, and just as he was about to open his mouth, a shrill voice rang out across the room. "Yueru, you are Brother Xingzhou's fiancé. Why are you so close to another man?" Shenmu Wan ran over with wide eyes, as if she had just caught me cheating, her excitement indescribable. The surrounding classmates looked at each other, and someone spoke up to explain. The class monitor was just helping Yueru treat her wound. He didn't do anything too much. When the class monitor heard the 3 words fiancé, his expression immediately became hurt. He quickly let go of my hand and stood up to defend me. "Shenmu Wan, we are upright and honest. How did it turn into something dirty when it came to you?" His voice was cold and sharp. Fu Xingzhou looked at me unhappily and stepped forward to block Shenmu Wan's face. Holding her hand wasn't considered dirty. Did we have to wait until we slept together to consider it? "Enough," I interrupted Fu Xingzhou, holding out my wounded hand in front of him. This wound was scratched by the person in his heart. The class president was just helping me deal with it. Even though medicine had been applied, the wound still looked very horrifying, causing Fu Xingzhou to be stunned and worriedly asked, "Why are you so careless? This kind of wound is easy to get infected. Let me take you to the hospital." He habitually grabbed my hand, and without saying anything, he dragged me away. Shen Muan's eyes flashed with unwillingness. She deliberately slammed her hand on the edge of the table. "Ah!" Her painful cry rang out. Fu Xingzhou immediately let go of me, hurriedly turned to ask worriedly, "Wana, what's wrong? Where are you injured? Between me and Shen Muyuan?" He hesitated for a long time before looking at me with an apologetic expression. "Yeru Yu, still have friends here, they can take you to the hospital, but Wana only has me." I understood the meaning in his words very clearly. Up until now, the person Fu Xingzhou chose was never me. I had known that for a long time, so my heart was calm. Unexpectedly the next day, the rumor that I had forged my university admission notice spread everywhere. Neighbors came to my house one after another to tell on me. Have you heard your daughter Yueru dared to forge her university admission notice? Being so brazen will sooner or later bring disaster upon herself. Sister-in-law, you have to teach Yan a lesson. That's right, a daughter should settle down and get married. Why bother taking the university entrance exam? Such an ambitious person will cause trouble sooner or later. Every word that seemed like advice made my mother's face worse and worse. Kneeling down, the huge wooden stick unhesitatingly walked straight towards me. No matter how I explained, she didn't believe me. Outside the door, Shen Mu Wan's voice, full of the air of watching a show, came in. Yueru, if you really want to go to university, I'll teach you when I have time. But why did you do such a fake thing? Don't you know that people are cursing you behind your back? Not only did you embarrass yourself, you also made everyone think wrongly of uncle and aunt and Howei. Those hypocritical words made my mother beat me even harder. I was furious, grabbed the stick from her hand, and hit Shen Mu Wan directly. If you have time to worry about other people's business, why don't you worry about yourself? You're always sneaking around with Fu Xingzhou. How good is your reputation? What nonsense are you talking about? Fu Xingzhou's rebuttal voice came from outside. Sweat was pouring down. He squeezed through the crowd and walked in. Yueru, I was worried about you, so I rushed over to comfort you. I didn't expect you to talk so nonsense. In addition, I don't need to save face for you anymore. Everyone Yueru's family is actually in this mess because she took the initiative to throw herself into my arms before and was caught by one The crowd started to gossip. I looked at Fu Xingzhou's hesitant and speechless appearance, and my heart was broken. He actually ruined my reputation because of Shen Mu Wan. Fu Xingzhou, you damn scum! I couldn't hold it in any longer, all the resentment from my previous life, and this life exploded desperately, rushing in to punch him like crazy. Fu Xingzhou dodged his body, but his mouth wouldn't let go. Yueru, I still remember where the birthmark on your body is, no matter how you explain it's useless. My eyes were red with anger when I slapped him in the face. He snatched away the admission notice that I always carried with me. Don't! Fu Xingzhou laughed coldly twice without hesitation, tearing the paper to pieces in my pleading eyes. The admission notice was torn to pieces, each piece flying like snowflakes in the air. My belief in reliving another life also disappeared. I completely collapsed. After staggering a few steps, I stopped my hand. Seeing this, Fo Hanchu reached out to comfort me. Guyet Nhu, you don't need to go to college. I'm still there to support you. Why do you have to compete with Uyen Ni for that reputation? I promise you when she goes to college, I will immediately marry you. Isn't that enough? It was so ridiculous that I couldn't believe it. I was stunned for a moment, looking at him with despair. Do you think I still want to marry you? Fu Xingzhou, even if I marry a beggar on the street, I will never marry you. After saying that, I coldly pushed him away and left. But Shen Mu Wan suddenly shouted loudly, Yueru, a girl must know how to maintain her virtue. Why are you living so loosely? Her words woke up the crowd that was watching me beat someone up, and they started to whisper and gossip. Old Joe's daughter has always been stubborn, so it's not strange that she's causing trouble like this. What a miserable family with such an older sister. It's probably hard for that younger brother to find a decent match. Not necessarily. A gentle voice rang out. Standing up for me, my family makes tofu and we wake up at dawn every day. But I've seen Mr. Joe's daughter staying up many times to study under the light. It's entirely possible that she'll get into college. Outsiders can see my efforts, but my parents never have. A bitter mixture of emotions welled up in my heart. I picked up the scraps of newspaper on the ground and laughed bitterly. Are you satisfied now? I glanced at my mother and the neighbors who were whispering in her ear, coldly questioning. Is it because your lives are not as you wish that you don't allow others to live better than you? You said I made up all sorts of things. So did you see me forging the newspaper with your own eyes? What else? Telling daughters to settle down and get married. Is it because you yourself have suffered enough that you also want to see others suffer like you? The people I asked all bowed their heads and didn't say anything, their faces flushed. Fo Hanchu unhappily pulled my hand, his voice annoyed. Nguyet knew, they are all elders. How can you speak so sourly? I was sour. I couldn't hold it in. Any more tears just kept falling, laughing coldly. You're so kind on one hand. You came to propose to me. On the other hand, you look down on me defending Tam Mo Uyen in everything. You're really a piece of scum who doesn't know how to measure yourself. My strength. Fu Xingzhou was scolded by me and had nothing more to say. His last bit of patience was exhausted. He pushed my hand away and attached a righteous word. Zhou Yue Ru other than your competitive nature. What do you have that can compare to 1 in everything? A clear voice rang out. The class monitor stepped out from the crowd with the homeroom teacher beside him. Nguyet Nhu has always been the best student in class, we can all testify. In this world, anyone can fake things, but she absolutely cannot. Fo Hanchu, you must be blind to stand up for someone who only knows how to pretend and even hurt Nguyet Nhu because of her. You are not worthy of being her fiancé. The class president's words were as decisive as a thunderclap in a clear sky, not only proving my academic performance, he also conveniently expressed his dissatisfaction when Fo Hanchu claimed to be my fiancé. I suddenly realized that there was always someone on my side, and the feeling of resentment in my heart also eased a bit. I whispered to the class president, "He is not my fiancé." "Really? That's great." The class monitor exclaimed, then immediately realized that he had been rude, quickly restrained his emotions, and obediently stood behind the teacher. The teacher was a man of high virtue and prestige, respected by everyone. As soon as he opened his mouth, everyone fell silent. People who were too outstanding were often jealous. Nguyet Nhu was an example. I had previously advised her to hide her glory to avoid being harmed by petty people. Unexpectedly, someone still brought up the story of her admission notice to make up a lie. Having come to this point, I was forced to stand up and testify. Nguyet Nhu was a good student and a very good person. Her achievements were completely true, and the notice was also true. As for Fo Hanchu, the teacher's eyes turned to him in disappointment. You didn't have any evidence, but you listened to one side and destroyed Nguyet Nhu's notice. If anyone asks, in the future, don't say you were my student. Being rejected by the teacher who had taught him Fo Hanchu immediately became a laughingstock. He frantically explained, "Teacher, it's not like that. Teacher, you know it's 1. She also received the university admission notice. She said Yue Ru's notice was different. I thought it was fake and didn't mean to target Yue Ru. 1 quickly helped me tell the teacher." Respecting teachers and valuing education was the only thing Fu Xingzhou had left to save face. He anxiously called Shen Muwan, hoping she would help him explain. However, Shen Muwan's eyes kept wavering. Other than sobbing, she didn't make any moves. Fu Xingzhou's eyes widened, unable to believe it. The class monitor saw this and angrily scolded, "You believe everything she says. Yue Ru's notice is different from Shen Muwan's because she got into a better school. She hasn't seen it. So how can she judge they're really a bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well?" No matter how Fu Xingzhou explained, the teacher didn't care. He looked at Shen Muwan for a long time, then left with a disappointed sentence. "Take care of yourself." He then clasped his hands behind his back and slowly left. The onlookers, seeing that the fun was over, dispersed one by one, leaving only a few of us standing there. My mother saw that she had misunderstood me, and instead of apologizing, she turned around and scolded me. "Chu Yue Ru, are you mute? Don't you know how to speak clearly and make me lose face?" So embarrassing. Seeing the class president standing next to me, her face was displeased. She quietly retreated. "You're grown up and strong. I can't control you anymore. Wait for your father to come back and see how he teaches you." At that moment, the four of us split into two factions, tensely confronting each other. I just wanted to quickly go find the teacher to clarify the matter of the notice, and didn't have time to care about them, but Fo Han Chu blocked my way, refusing to give way. "Nguyet Ru, I'm sorry." "Sorry, can you return my college admission notice to me?" I asked coldly, not even sparing him a glance. Fu Xingzhou was speechless, his gaze gradually shifting to observe me and the class president standing next to him. "The admission notice was my fault. I shouldn't have falsely accused you. But you also didn't clarify your ambiguous relationship with another man. Let's just call it even." He was talking nonsense. I couldn't help but curse. Don't tell me that there was nothing between me and the class president. Even if it was true, it couldn't be compared to him tearing up my college admission notice. "Who are you? Who am I related to? Do you need to speak up and discuss it?" I threw the piece of paper straight at Fu Xingzhou's face, coldly scolding him. After I finished speaking, I didn't bother to pay attention to his expression, turned around and left. But Fu Xingzhou still wouldn't let go, following closely behind. "Nguyet knew. You also know our relationship. I just hope that you will think about my feelings a little bit in everything you do. His self-righteousness makes me extremely bored." I stopped and took a deep breath. "Fo Han Chu, if you still don't understand, then let me make it clear to you. We don't have any relationship and we won't have any in the future. Please don't be delusional anymore." Fo Han Chu stared in disbelief. But this time he didn't chase me anymore. I went to the teacher's house with the class monitor. Before I could say anything, the teacher warmly reassured me. "Don't worry, Nguyet Nhu. I've already contacted my superiors. They will come up with a reasonable compensation plan for you." "Teacher, can I still go to school?" I asked worriedly, without waiting another second. Receiving an affirmative answer, I breathed a sigh of relief. The shadow named Fo Han Chu gradually disappeared. Only then did the class monitor cautiously speak up. "Yue Ru, what exactly happened between you and Fu Xingchu?" I looked at the class monitor, then looked at the teacher, and explained that Fu Xingchu had an ambiguous relationship with Shen Mu Wan but still proposed to me. The whole room fell silent. The class monitor slammed the table angrily. "What kind of shameless person is this? Yue Ru, don't be afraid, I'm here to back you up." I glanced at him in surprise and heard the teacher say softly, "Nguyet Nhu, you're an adult now. There are things you can decide for yourself. You don't need to listen to everything your parents say." If I had listened to the teacher earlier in my previous life, I probably wouldn't have had to live with a cheating husband for 30 years before coming to my senses. I clearly understood that the teacher said those words completely out of concern for me. I was extremely grateful. After sitting for a while, the class president and I left. As soon as we entered the house, a cold voice shouted loudly, "Chu Nguyet Nhu, do you think passing the university entrance exam is so great? Don't you care about your parents anymore? I'm telling you, I'm the one who gave birth to you and raised you. As long as you're alive, no matter how good you are, you have to listen to me." "So what?" I calmly looked up at the man who had the biological role of being my father. He was speechless, and after a few seconds he angrily shouted, "Fo Han Chu is your fiancé, you—" How could I let him lose face in front of so many people who said he was my fiancé? I remained calm, but my mother gave me a sharp glance. "What are you pretending to be innocent for today?" Han Chu made it clear. "You shamelessly seduced someone. Now you dare say you don't want to get married." I believe what he said, but I've never believed anything you said, right? My mother couldn't answer. She just snorted coldly, looking annoyed. Her mouth was quick. After speaking, she went into the kitchen to continue cooking for her most beloved son. My father saw my strange attitude, sighed, and pulled me to sit across from him. "Nguyet Nhu, don't blame your mother. We're doing this for your own good. When a daughter grows up, she has to get married. With Han Chu's conditions, if you marry her, you'll be climbing high. Just coax her to be happy, then you'll live a peaceful life. I want to go to school, not get married. I don't want to beat around the bush with you anymore. I'll just say my position straight." My father took a drag of his tobacco, his voice slow, as if he was lecturing. "Going to school is no obstacle to getting married. With such a good son-in-law, first of all, isn't it better to hold on to it? In my previous life, I was brainwashed by them and married Fuxing Zhou. Who would have thought that in the 30 years we lived together, he would have been secretly having an affair with Shen Muwan for the entire 30 years? If marriage is just a lie, I'd rather let it go." Seeing that I couldn't reason with them, I resolutely walked out and sat alone in the yard. A week later, outside, the sound of drums and drums could be heard bustling. The neighbours all happily came out to watch, guessing which family was having a wedding. I also looked out curiously and discovered that the person leading the group was my teacher. I quickly adjusted my clothes and ran out to welcome him. When he saw me, he smiled happily and turned to introduce me to the people who were with him. This was Chu Nguyet Nhu. She was the first student in the past 10 years in our province to get into Tsinghua University. Her future was very bright. Only then did I realize that the person accompanying the teacher was a provincial leader. My heart was filled with indescribable joy. As for the neighbor who had come to tell on my mother, her voice was sour. "The daughter of the Chu family really has a future, huh? She probably won't even look back at us in the future." Her husband was annoyed and scolded her. "Shut up! We haven't even finished taking care of our own affairs yet, and you're still talking about other people's business." She sullenly and reluctantly kept quiet. My parents were also embarrassed and timid when they saw such a grand scene, their whole bodies trembling. "Leader, I didn't expect you to come to this poor place of ours, and the reception wasn't attentive, I hope you understand." My father clenched his fists, trying to come up with a polite sentence. My mother kept glancing at me, signaling me non-stop. "Don't just stand there, quickly! Go call Hao Wei back to receive the guest." "What does this have to do with Zhou Hao Wei?" The teacher and the leader came to find me. Whenever she had the chance to show her face, she would not forget to drag out her son, who was playing around. I was annoyed and immediately responded. Just now I was still acting humble, but now my father had turned his back. "You are a girl. What qualifications do you have to receive guests? Quickly go call your younger brother back." My mother was also not to be outdone, her voice full of sarcasm. "I have always known that you are competitive, but I didn't expect you to be so self-aggrandizing. Who are you that the leader personally came to see you?" "Sorry, I really came to find my classmate Zhou Yue-ru." After a few minutes of silently watching the play, the provincial leader and the teacher glanced at each other. Then the other spoke softly. Just one sentence made the other two stunned, as if they had been slapped in the face. My mother looked at me with wide eyes, unable to believe it. "Leader, are you mistaken? This lazy parasite-like girl, how can she compare to my son?" That blurted-out question made both the leader and the teacher frown. "You two be quiet for a moment, don't you know? We need you to remind us who we're looking for." My teacher was so angry that he lost all respect and didn't even bother to be reserved in his words. My parents' faces were distorted. They bowed their heads, not daring to say another word. Seeing the provincial leader personally hand me the admission notice and encourage me to study hard, my mother was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Nguyet Nhu would soon be married. Whether she would study or not was still unknown. Why bother? My mother couldn't help but open her mouth as if she couldn't bear to see others treat me well. The joy in my heart instantly cooled completely, losing all hope for this family. I pretended not to hear, calmly said, "My dream is to study, not to get married." The provincial leader nodded in approval, patted my shoulder, gently encouraged. "Nguyet Nhu, whatever you want to do, just do it boldly. Whether it's studying or getting married, as long as you want, don't worry about other people's eyes. I look forward to seeing you spread your wings and fly far away." After saying that, he left. My heart suddenly felt light, as if I had laughed and let go of a heavy burden. After seeing off the guests, I turned back into the house and saw Chu Hao-wei leading Fo Han Chu waiting right at the gate. Brother-in-law heard that someone had come to the house. He was very worried about you, so he came back with me. You have to take good care of brother-in-law. I pretended to be deaf and turned back into the house and started packing my luggage. The teacher told me that Tsinghua University had opened a dormitory to welcome early admission students. As long as you have the notice, you can move in. I didn't want to stay in this house another day. I decided to leave immediately. Fo Han Chu stopped me. Yue Ru, it's not good for a girl to be too strong. It's better to be deceived. I pulled my hand away from him, made a scene at home, then took the 5 yuan I borrowed from the class president and ran straight to the train station. I planned to study and work part-time at Tsinghua University, saving every penny supporting myself. Unexpectedly, not long after, I received a letter from the teacher. Yue Ru, your job is to study well. Don't worry about money. There was also a carefully folded 100 yuan bill in the envelope. That was 2 months of the teacher's salary, a very precious sum of money. I hurriedly ran out to return it intact, but the class president who was studying in the same city found me first. Yue Ru, the teacher was afraid you wouldn't accept it, so he asked me to explain it clearly. It was a grant from the province after learning about your situation. You don't need to feel guilty. I thanked both of them and went out to have a meal with the class president. From that day on, I started to focus on my studies. Occasionally, I would meet the class president for a break. The days passed by both busy and happy, until one day the security guard at the school gate came to find me. Ju Yue-ru, there was someone outside who claimed to be your husband and said he wanted to see you. After he finished speaking, his eyes were filled with strangeness. At that time, I didn't think much of it, but when I got to the gate and saw Fu Xingchu standing there, I felt regretful. He was wearing a neat suit with a red flower on his chest. When he saw me, he was moved and knelt down on one knee. Yue Ru, because of you going to school, the wedding was postponed for so long. I thought about it, getting married right in school wouldn't be bad. The surrounding classmates were pointing and gossiping. I felt like I was nothing more than a clown, hiding all the way here, but still couldn't escape from Fo Han Chu. While I was confused and didn't know how to react, he suddenly rushed over and tried to grab me. I couldn't dodge in time and was about to be caught by him when the class president rushed over and pushed him away. "Are you crazy? When did Nguyen Nhu agree to marry me?" Fo Han Chu was interrupted. His face was annoyed. He squinted at the class president to evaluate. "What are you to Nguyen Nhu? What does our relationship have to do with you?" The class president was speechless for a moment, then gently grabbed my hand. "Nguyen Nhu is the person I love. Do you think it has anything to do with me?" I had already realized his feelings for me, so I wasn't surprised at this moment. Fo Han Chu revealed a face as if the sky had fallen. "Nguyen Nhu, you are my wife. How can you be with another man? I didn't send you to school for you to learn that kind of promiscuity." Every word and sentence showed blind stubbornness. I frowned, not understanding what kind of man I had fallen for in my previous life. "First, I have no relationship with you. Who I am with is my freedom. Second, I entered university by myself. I worked hard to earn it. You can't help me in any way, except getting in the way. Don't shamelessly say it's thanks to you. Fu Xingzhou, if you still don't get lost, don't blame me for calling someone to chase you away. Having lived together for 30 years, I understand very well that what Fu Xingzhou cares about the most is his dignity. Being chased away in such a crowded place, he definitely can't stand it. I thought of using that to pressure him, but I didn't expect him to be unmoved. "Yue Ru, how could you say that? We've been together for 30 years. Have you forgotten?" He shamelessly said those words in front of so many people. I started to worry, quickly turning around and calling someone to chase him away. Fu Xingzhou was not satisfied. He shouted, "Yue Ru, we are a couple, have you forgotten? Soon you will give birth to a boy and a girl for me. We will live happily until we die. A bunch of children who only know how to defend the third person. I don't need it." I gradually became cold. It wasn't until the class president spoke that I suddenly realized that I had reached the edge of the lake. Yueru would have fallen if she had taken another step. My arm was held tightly. I thanked him. The class president scratched his head in embarrassment and apologized. Yueru was too hasty just now. I didn't mean to ruin your reputation. I know. If Fu Xingzhou is a hypocritical person, then the class president is an upright, honest, and decent person. His qualities are beyond question. Thinking back to the days of studying and accompanying each other for the past few years, my heart suddenly became moved. Class president, do you like me? He was bewildered for a long time. Then he became serious. Nguyen Nhu, I like you. I want to marry you, live with you for the rest of my life. A life is too long. I don't dare to dream too far. Cherishing every day together is enough. As soon as I finished speaking, the class president nodded in confusion. When he left, he suddenly woke up and shouted loudly, Nguyen Nhu, you agreed you didn't reject me. Everyone acknowledged his virtue, which was also the reason why I had enough courage to enter marriage again. I didn't want to reject, nor did I want to go to extremes and run from one wound to another trap. I agreed because I saw that you were good. I smiled in response and walked hand in hand with the class president around the school campus. On Tet, I brought him home to meet my parents. Unexpectedly, Fohan Chu suddenly barged in, looking crazy. Nguyen Nhu, you are my wife. You can't marry anyone else. Seeing that I just looked at him indifferently, he turned to my parents as if trying to gain the last bit of support. Uncle Chu, Aunt Chu, didn't you two promise to marry Nguyen Nhu to me? With someone to compare to my parents no longer insisted on me marrying Fo Han Chu. Anyway, they just needed me to get married. They shook their heads and gently advised forcing her wouldn't have a good result. Fo Han Chu, if you are already with Tammo Uyen, then cherish her. Don't waste your time on our family anymore. That sentence made me laugh out loud, laughing so hard that I couldn't hold it in. Fo Han Chu couldn't accept my parents' sudden change. How could you do that? You clearly agreed to me and even accepted the dowry. Why are you going back on your word now? Be careful with your words. My mother started arguing fiercely with Fo Han Chu and soon chased him out of the house. Going back into the house, she smiled awkwardly at the class president. You are Sheng Jun, right? Don't listen to Fu Xingzhou's nonsense. My family has never promised her anything. Yueru is a pure and decent girl. The class president just smiled lightly, took my hand, and looked me in the eye with trust. Everything went so smoothly that it surprised me. Leaving the house, I followed him to visit his family. The class president's parents were gentle and polite, not making things difficult like Fu Xingzhou's parents had done to me. Our relationship was quickly established. During the holidays, we got engaged. Before the first day of school, Shenmu An stopped me at the gate. Zhou Yueru, how could you go back on your word and not marry brother Xingzhou? I never said I would marry him. What about you, Shenmu Wan? You've been entangled with Fu Xingzhou for so long, why don't you marry him? If she had said she wanted to marry me, I'm sure Fu Xingzhou wouldn't have chosen to marry me in her previous life, and I wouldn't have been deceived. I stared at Shen Muan's face, waiting for an answer, but she avoided my gaze, awkwardly shifting her gaze. I have nothing to do with brother Xingzhou. Don't tarnish my reputation. Thinking about it, I gradually understood that perhaps Shen Muan had never truly loved Fu Xingzhou, so she had been hanging on to him in her previous life. I coldly snorted and pushed her away, and she stomped her feet in anger. Zhou Yueru brother Xingzhou was good to you. How could you bear to make him suffer? It wasn't until I got on the train that I heard about Fu Xingzhou from the class president. I heard that he left my house that day and went home to burn charcoal to commit suicide. Luckily, his parents woke up with a headache in the middle of the night and opened the vent in time, saving him. After waking up, Fu Xingzhou found out that went crazy screaming for death, got slapped by his father twice. Now he sits absent-mindedly by the window every day. Nguyen Nhu, tell me, is there something wrong with his mind? Who knows? I didn't even bother to look up, but as soon as I finished speaking, I felt something was wrong. I turned to the class and seriously questioned, "Why do you care so much about Fo Han Chu?" He scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. "I'm just afraid that he'll come looking for you again to cause trouble." Know yourself, know your enemy, and you will win every battle. People used to say that love is a clear presence that can be felt with the heart. I used to despise that saying, but after being with the class president, I understood it even more. 3 years later, I graduated from university and walked down the aisle with the class president. On the day I went to register for marriage, Fu Xingzhou, whom I hadn't seen for a long time, suddenly appeared in front of me and handed me a lunchbox. "Yue Ru, this is your favorite braised pork dish. In my previous life, I refused to cook for you until I died. Now consider it as compensation. I wish you happiness. I accept the wishes, but I don't need the food." I took the lunchbox and threw it straight into the trash can right in front of him. His face was distorted. I didn't know if he was laughing or crying. I reached out to pick it up, but saw the scars all over his sleeve. I coldly snorted and left. When I was pregnant, I heard the neighbors gossip that Fu Xingzhou had come to Shenmu Wan's house to propose, but he was chased away before he even entered the door. He went out. He stood in front of the Shen family's gate and cursed all day. That night, he hung himself and truly left this world. As for Shen Mu Wan, it was said that after his death, she had been dreaming of him every night, haunting her. Not long after her spirit collapsed, and she was sent to a mental hospital. I heard the story and just smiled, faintly, considered it a gossip, and then threw it behind my head. After 10 months of pregnancy, I gave birth to a chubby white baby. My child was smart, understanding, and always leaned towards me whenever there was a disagreement between me and the 3 boys. It was very difficult for a mother to give birth to a child, so the child must treat her well. My child repeated that sentence over and over again, from the time he could speak until he had his own child. Throughout his life, he always respected me. And the class monitor, who became my husband, also loved me very much. The 2 of them, one older and one younger, made up for all the misfortunes of the past, making me believe in love and life again. When I closed my eyes for the last time, I still held my husband's hand tightly and whispered a promise in the next life we must definitely be together. As a woman, you should not live for the expectations of others. The decision to be happy is in your hands. Even if it means paying the price of temporary pain and loneliness, you must accept it. Be strong to face outdated ideas, impose traditional marriage, as well as controlling and mentally abusive behavior in relationships. Thank you for listening to the story at Ken Stories. I hope you have relaxing and fun moments. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe so I have more motivation to make more videos.